You remember Saturday mornings in the 80s. Bowl of cereal, TV turned on, Transformers theme song blasting through the speakers. Optimus Prime leading the Autobots, Megatron commanding the Decepticons, robots transforming into cars, jets, and cassette players right before your eyes. You thought it was just an awesome cartoon. It wasn't. Every episode you watched, every character you loved, every transformation sequence that blew your mind, all of it was controlled by people in boardrooms who didn't care about stories. They cared about one thing: selling toys. And the decisions they made behind the scenes, some of them were so calculated, so bizarre, that they permanently destroyed parts of the franchise you'll never get back. So today, I am about to show you 15 weird facts that Hasbro never wanted you to know. And I guarantee, by the end of this video, your childhood memories will never feel the same again. But here's the deal. If you want to catch every hidden truth I'm about to expose, hit that subscribe button right now and smash that notification bell. Because what's coming next isn't just interesting. It's stuff they deliberately hid from you. Transformers Generation 1 premiered in September 1984. It wasn't created to tell great stories. It was created to sell toys. Hasbro took Japanese molds from Takara's Diaclone and Microchange lines, slapped new names on them, and built a cartoon around moving product off shelves. The animation studio didn't answer to writers. They answered to toy executives. And that single fact created some of the most shocking production choices you've ever heard. Let's start with the leader himself, and a weapon choice that had nothing to do with heroism. Fact number 1. Optimus Prime's fusion cannon, repurposed. That massive cannon on Optimus Prime's arm, you thought it was designed to make him look powerful. It wasn't. Hasbro designed that cannon to detach and become a separate toy pistol. A gun that kids could hold in their hands and play with independently. That was the only reason it existed. And here's where it gets messy. The animators had no idea what to do with this. Some episodes showed the cannon attached to his arm. Other episodes, it just disappeared. No explanation, no consistency. Why is this weird? Because the most recognizable weapon of the franchise's main hero was engineered as a kid's pistol first, and a character design second. Sales trumped everything. But if you think that's the only character who got compromised by toy politics, wait until you hear about the Autobot who was literally erased from existence. Fact number 2. Jetfire's competitor origin blocked. Jetfire was massive, a white and red fighter jet that looked incredible on toy shelves. Kids wanted him. Hasbro promoted him. And then he never appeared in the cartoon. Not once. Here's why. Jetfire's toy mold came from a rival company's franchise called Macross. Hasbro bought the rights to sell the toy. But Takara, their Japanese partner who controlled the cartoon, refused to let him appear on screen. The rule was simple and brutal. If Takara didn't make the mold, the character didn't exist in the show. Animation models were ready. Voice actors were lined up. None of it mattered. Why is this weird? One of the largest Autobots ever released was erased from his own universe because of corporate toy wars. Kids owned him, but never saw him fight. And if corporate politics could erase characters entirely, what do you think they did to the toys themselves? Turns out, they had no problem letting them break on purpose. Fact number 3. Prowl's roof fragility epidemic. Prowl and several other early Autobot cars had a fatal flaw. The roof section was made of brittle plastic combined with die-cast metal, and during normal transformation, the roof snapped off. This wasn't a mistake. Hasbro knew about it, engineers knew about it, and they did nothing. No recall, no mold revision, nothing, because broken toys meant parents buying replacements. In the cold math of toy manufacturing, that flaw was profitable. Why is this weird? Hasbro deliberately left a defect in place because it boosted sales. Today, collectors actually pay more for Prowl figures with intact roofs because the defect made them rare. You're starting to see the pattern here, right? But nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to what they did in the movie. Because when it came time to clear old inventory, they didn't just break toys, they broke hearts. Fact number 4. Movie deaths cleared toy inventory. August 1986. The Transformers movie hit theaters, and in the first 20 minutes, they killed Optimus Prime, then Ironhide, then Prowl, Ratchet, Brawn, Wind Charger. Almost every hero you grew up with? Dead. Kids were traumatized. Parents complained for months. But here's the truth nobody told you. Those characters didn't die for dramatic storytelling. They died because their toys were discontinued. Hasbro needed to clear shelf space for new products like Rodimus Prime, Ultra Magnus, and Hot Rod. The entire movie plot was inventory liquidation, disguised as cinema. Why is this weird? An entire generation cried in theaters over what was essentially a corporate clearance sale. Story didn't matter. Only moving new merchandise mattered. And the manipulation goes even deeper. Let me show you something about those original Autobot toys that you probably never noticed. Something so obvious, it's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. Fact number 5. No knees in Autobot cars. Pick up any 1984 Autobot car. Jazz. Sideswipe. Sunstreaker. Now try to make them kneel. You can't. Their legs don't bend at the knee. At all. These are robots, supposedly advanced mechanical beings, and they're locked into stiff, upright poses. Takara's original Diaclone molds prioritized how good the car looked, not how the robot moved. Adding knee joints meant more engineering, more cost per unit. So they cut it. Why is this weird? The foundational toys of the franchise couldn't perform basic poses. Robots that were marketed as more than meets the eye couldn't even crouch. But the cost cutting didn't stop at articulation. In fact, the very next year, Hasbro found a way to literally cover up their quality control problems with a cheap gimmick. Fact number 6. Rub signs covered faction marks. You remember rub signs? Those heat-sensitive stickers you'd rub with your thumb to reveal if a robot was an Autobot or Decepticon? Hasbro said they were anti-counterfeit protection. That was a lie. The real reason? The original faction stickers kept peeling off. Kids complained. Parents complained. So Hasbro created rub signs as a more durable fix. But here's the problem. Adding rub signs meant covering up the original Diaclone faction symbols. Suddenly, characters had Autobot logos in different places, different sizes, completely inconsistent. Why is this weird? The entire identity system of the show, Autobots versus Decepticons, was literally covered up by a cheap fix for bad stickers. And speaking of cheap fixes, the way they ended the series makes everything else look tame by comparison. Because when it came time to wrap up Generation 1, they didn't care about giving fans closure. They cared about hitting a number. Fact number 7. Season 4 slashed for syndication. The rebirth was supposed to be 5 episodes. A proper finale that would wrap up character arcs and give the series a real ending. Instead, you got 3 rushed episodes filled with recycled footage from different animation studios that didn't even match. Why? Because syndication packages required exactly 100 episodes. Not 98, not 99, 100. Networks wouldn't pay top dollar for anything less. So Hasbro cut the finale down, padded it with clip show garbage, and called it done. Why is this weird? The entire Generation 1 timeline ended not because the story was complete, but because accountants needed a round number for TV deals. But at least those characters made it to the finale. Some Autobots weren't even that lucky. In fact, 2 of them were completely banned from ever appearing, despite being sold in every toy store. Fact number 8. Whirl and Roadbuster cartoon banned. Whirl and Roadbuster were sold in stores. They had packaging, they had tech specs, they had backstories. Kids bought them and played with them, but they never appeared in the cartoon. Not once. Not even in the background. Their molds came from a different company's toy line, called Dorvac. And because Takara didn't manufacture them, they were legally banned from appearing on screen. Why is this weird? 2 fully released Autobots were ghosts in their own show. You could own them, but you'd never see them fight alongside Optimus Prime. Copyright law made them fictional orphans. And the censorship didn't stop there. Some countries took things even further, cutting scenes for reasons that make absolutely no sense when you think about what the show was actually about. Fact number 9. Nunchaku edits in international versions. When Transformers aired in the United Kingdom, censors had a problem. Several episodes showed characters using nunchaku, which were banned weapons under British law, so they just cut those scenes out. No subtlety, no clever editing, just hard cuts that made robots teleport across the screen mid-fight. Why is this weird? A show about giant robots shooting lasers and missiles needed violence edits because one country banned wooden sticks on a chain. The logic made zero sense. And just when you think the decisions can't get more absurd, Hasbro did something that literally destroyed the core concept of the entire franchise. What they released in 1990 was the ultimate betrayal. Fact number 10. Action masters don't transform. By 1990, Transformers was dying. Sales dropped. The cartoon was canceled. Hasbro needed something cheap to keep the brand alive. Their solution? Action masters. Transformers that don't transform. The backstory claimed a substance called nucleon gave them power but locked their transformation ability. The reality? Hasbro wanted to make cheap action figures without paying for transformation engineering. Why is this weird? The final G1 toys abandoned the one thing that made Transformers unique. The brand literally betrayed its own name to save money. But wait, it gets even more insulting. Because Hasbro wasn't just willing to abandon what made Transformers special. They were willing to turn their heroes into walking advertisements. Fact number 11, Pepsi Optimus trailer remolded. Hasbro made a promotional Optimus Prime for Pepsi. His trailer was completely redesigned to hold a soda bottle. Pepsi logos replaced Autobot symbols on his shoulders. The leader of the Autobots became a walking advertisement for soft drinks. Why is this weird? They took the most iconic hero of the franchise and turned him into a corporate mascot. Optimus Prime wasn't a character anymore. He was a marketing tool with articulated joints. And the problems weren't just about selling out. Some problems were literally built into the foundation of the toy line itself, creating logical impossibilities that made no sense then and still don't make sense now. Fact number 12. Scale inconsistency from Diaclone. Here's something you probably noticed as a kid, but couldn't explain. Soundwave transforms into a cassette player. Optimus Prime transforms into a semi-truck. But in robot mode, they're almost the same height. This wasn't an animation error. The toys were actually built that way. Hasbro reused Diaclone molds that were all designed to be similar sizes for playability. Why is this weird? Canon established that these robots could fit inside each other despite being the same size in robot mode. The math made no sense, but the toys forced everyone to accept it. Now, here's where things get dark. Really dark. Because what I'm about to tell you involves one of Hollywood's greatest legends and how production treated him in his final days. Fact number 13. Orson Welles' final role chaos. Orson Welles, one of the greatest directors in cinema history, voiced Unicron in the 1986 movie, but by the time recording started, he was dying. He recorded his lines lying down with an oxygen mask nearby. Sessions were chaotic and disorganized, and less than a year after the film released, he was dead. Why is this weird? A Hollywood legend spent his final professional moments voicing a character designed to sell planetary toys to children. Production pushed him through sessions while he was deteriorating, all for marketing purposes. And the chaos behind the scenes didn't just affect the people working on the show. It affected what you saw on screen too, creating mistakes that became permanent parts of the canon. Fact number 14. Clip show budget crunch errors. Season 2 was a mess. Overseas animation studios worked from incomplete model packs. Communication between American writers and Korean animators broke down constantly. The result? Episodes with miscolored characters, dead characters appearing as background zombies, and multiple copies of supposedly unique robots on screen at the same time. Why is this weird? Budget cuts created permanent errors. Clone armies and ghost resurrections became canon simply because nobody caught the mistakes before the episodes aired. And for the final fact, let me show you Hasbro's most ambitious and most ridiculous decision. Because when they tried to go big, they went so big that almost nobody could actually afford what they made. Fact number 15. Fortress Maximus's $100 price tag. In 1987, Hasbro released Fortress Maximus, 2 feet tall, transformed from city to battle station to robot, the most complex transformer ever made. The price? Nearly $100, when most transformers cost $3 to $5. Most kids never owned it. They just saw it in catalogs and dreamed. Hasbro built a masterpiece and priced it so high that their own target audience couldn't afford it. Why is this weird? The biggest, most ambitious G1 toy became a luxury item that almost nobody could buy. Peak engineering met impossible economics. So, there you have it. 15 facts that prove everything you thought about Transformers was manufactured, calculated, and controlled by people who cared more about profit margins than storytelling. The show you loved? It was built on broken toys, legal loopholes, corporate compromises, and cost-cutting decisions at every level. But here's the thing. Knowing all this doesn't ruin the nostalgia. It just makes you see it clearly. If you want more hidden truths from 80s cartoons, check out Battle of the Planets from 1978. That show has an equally wild backstory involving international edits and replacement characters that completely changed what American audiences experienced. You'll find that video right here.